Yeah.
Guys, good morning. And people are talking. They're talking about buying in Queensland due to this fantastic Olympics. What do Sydney real estate agents think about it? Let's talk.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Finally, it's almost going to have to be afternoon minutes with the start we've had this morning. Episode 509, buying Queensland due to the expectation of the 2032 Olympic Games. Big congrats to Queensland for submitting. I think there's always a fair few amount of countries that do so, and Australia has got them. I think Melbourne have them soon, like in as well in a few years, don't they? So, or something like that. So it shows they had it. I'm up with it. It does show that Australia is sort of really renowned. Like, we don't have the biggest population when you look at a lot of these other countries, or the GDP, but we're still fairly decent. But we have a great culture, great lifestyle, and great land and infrastructure set up to be able to hold these games that we continually be nominated, submit and receive them. I think it's a big hats off to us. Now, but as we are real estate agents, what will that have on the real estate market? Because we are getting people already thinking, well, should I buy up there in advance? It's almost like they feel like they're getting a stock tip. Oh, it's going to go up. That's happening. I better buy. But Mark and I are going to talk about what our feelings. Obviously, we're super biased. We're from Sydney. However, we'll try and look past that and try and get to the core principles when you're buying. Because I think there's so many people who already are attracted to this Queensland market. Like, we hear it all the time. We know Luke loves it, so if he jumps on, he'll be pro Queensland. But like, Mark, we always hear it, and I just reckon, there's Luke, and I just reckon this is going to be like that push a lot of people need. I reckon this will be one of Luke's first sentences coming out when he's speaking to the buyers. But let's take a step back and give the other side of it as well, Mark.
Let's give both angles. Okay, let's give a cross section of let's look at it wasn't that long ago. Actually, it was that long ago. 2000 Olympics, right?
Yeah, it was 21 years.
Yeah, it's massive. Now, we knew the lead up. Very exciting, very cool. They reckon it was probably the best Olympics in the world. We're probably biased. I'm probably biased finding that title wherever I found it. But did the Sydney property market prosper above and beyond what it normally does then?
And there's two angles as well. What is like, if you take from somewhere and give somewhere else, like, what did it cost to get that to get it? Like, okay, let's say the core suburb went up 10%, but it costs the state economy 20% in the red. Then I think that's a big thing. Like, okay, so my view, Olympics. Yeah, I was reading a couple articles, and I think it will really fundamental on a whole state level for Queensland. Are they having to build everything? The housing, the stadiums, the roads? Because what I've read is when countries have to do that, Greece, Brazil, it may not have the plus side in those initial years from it. Like, I don't believe the infrastructure costs versus the money in the year of doing it, you're going to be well behind. So I think I haven't looked at the Queensland plan, or I don't think it's fully out yet. Are they, or it probably would be for the submission, are they rebuilding everything? Because a few things I said, it's going to cost 5 billion, it's going to cost 20 billion. Keep in mind, that's already after COVID, we're in a hole, I think 80 billion as a country, and they are quite substantially as well. So it's, but talking about, everyone's going to talk about Queensland. If you think about it, Sydney's been the icon of Australia, then Melbourne. Queensland's been left behind. So for the long term, being put this on the map internationally, I think it's a big thing for them.
Well, look, I think internationally, like you may find just a bucket load of people end up putting that on their shopping list
Yeah.
when they're traveling, and when people travel to a place like Australia, they generally spend a bit of time here because it's a big airfare. So I think certainly for tourism, for travel before, due, and after the Olympics, I think it's going to be pretty important for the economy, jobs, things like that. Um, I think the big focus of today's conversation is should you be putting your money up there? Um, I've always considered for cash flow Queensland to be an excellent investment, and I've always considered for capital growth Queensland to be a worser investment to other states. So it's generally dazzled with cash flow, meaning the rent that it gets. And I know people can pick it. I'm looking at medians across the major suburbs in Queensland, the major like say if you pick the top 50 suburbs in Sydney, top 50 suburbs in Queensland, top 50 suburbs in Melbourne. I think people will be challenged to meet the capital growth that Sydney's had the past 100 years for the next 100 years. Something I'd be really encouraged for people to look at is the fundamental basics of why a city does well. A city doesn't do well just because it does well. It does well because of it's underpinned by simple things, very, very simple things, even like climate. People are like gorillas. They don't like it to, they are in hibernation and things like that. So it's that fundamental thing that Queensland, go south, it's a little bit colder. Go north, it's a little bit hotter. Go in the middle, it's just about right. So climate. They're both equally beautiful harbours. Both have nice harbours, but I think Sydney's been a bit of a champion for obvious reasons the last 50 to 100 years, and I don't think that's going to change, Olympics or no Olympics.
No, like it's got. I don't mean to rude Queensland, but when you and probably Melbourne as well, Sydney, rightfully, wrongfully so, but where there's a big one, it has the prestige, and as we all know, it's hard to get rid of that, even if there's lacking some other areas. You've got the Harbour Bridge, you've got the Centre Point Tower, you've got the Opera House. Like these are icons people travel for as well. So maybe Queensland getting the Olympics maybe they can do something special around that, and then people will travel up there to see those icons. Because you got to keep in mind, if you really want to get that international travel, a lot of people are living in beautiful areas. So just having a sunny day isn't necessarily the strongest draw card. You need to have plus, and that's where Sydney's been able to capture a lot of that first. I reckon if you looked at the data, Sydney would be a very strong first stop of any travellers, and if they've got time, they add Melbourne, they add Queensland to it as well. You buy in Brisbane 22, it outperformed in Sydney Capitals. That's good to know. That's really good.
It is, and look, I think if you take, I'm talking 100 years to 100 years, or 50 years to 50 years, or 30 years to 30 years. I think if you look at Byron Bay, Byron Bay's done, I think 230% in a very, very short period of time. And I reckon Queensland's going to perform even with capital growth in the short term is going to outperform any city.
Like I think price point, it's so appealing.
COVID's been kind to Queensland, and I think it's going to do well. But I think it's important with stamp duty and your investment. With a short-term view, with a mid-term view, and a long-term view. And I'm as biased as hell. I'm a Sydney real estate agent, so you're only going what's coming out of my mouth is definitely going to be biased, but I like to back it up with some facts.
And it's good to have Luke on to give the other side as well, because it is different. It's like someone buying residential, commercial. Like if you wanted to not buy commercial because you may not be familiar with it and you want the higher return, then Queensland may be the option.
And you've got compelling arguments, so. It's like telling a commercial person to buy residential is going, and he'll give you all the reasons why not. Everyone's each to their own. But I think the more important thing about today's show is nice, as factual as possible, as unemotional as possible. Acknowledging the good, the bad, and the ugly on all states. where we'd want to put our money, I'm super happy for Queensland and Australia for the Olympics. I think it's a huge win, but today's focus is on about, do you put your life savings in Queensland due to it having an Olympics? Me, no.
Yeah, and my big thing is with anything I say, when people build hospitals or there's proposed thinking, if it's artificially inflated, either low interest rates, the talk of a new hospital, the talk of rezoning, there's
Train
a lot of
station,
things,
airport.
train station, all this stuff, as quickly as it comes, it can go.
Yeah.
And 2032, look at the year we've just had. Like, weren't the Winter Olympics cancelled last year, 2020, or pushed
Look,
back? So
I was
imagine
watching
buying up.
Tokyo Olympics. I was watching Tokyo Olympics last night and talking with Lisa this morning, and she was saying, poor guys, like all those empty hotels, all those
Yeah.
people that didn't turn up for the Olympics. It's like, shit, who would have thought?
Yeah. So if they're doing the Olympics in an area that has strong infrastructure already, strong growth, and this is just an add-on, that you're like, great, perfect. But if it's in an area like for us, Sydney, if it was out in Whoop Whoop, where this would be a great town, like a third city we're going to build, let's kickstart it by doing the Olympics, and there's been no activity prior, that you may need to look at it. And Luke will probably know a lot better than us where it's actually being held and the little pockets that could have really, really good growth. Just bought a 2-bed townhouse, 30K from the Sydney, 175K. Yeah, that's huge. What's that? 20? See, it's massive rental return. So, and that's what some people, if you're 50 to 65, what do you want to care? Like, you may not care about the 30-year growth. You go, I want money now. I need money in my pocket. So there's two different factors there.
But honestly, I've been an agent for 28 years, Burge. The amount of times I've had people say to me, comparatively with their Queensland investment to their Northern Beaches Sydney investment, it hasn't done any capital growth. What the hell have I done? Like thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So over that time, so I don't get those complaints out of the locals from when they buy local. And something I feel really strongly about is stick with what you know. Don't stick with a speculation or a person said, or I heard this stock was going to do really well. Farm, the diamonds are under your nose, and farm under your nose. What really disappoints me is people make their wealth out of a certain area. They do really well out of a certain area. They burn the boats. And they'll go, you know what? I've done that, double my money. I've done that, triple my money. I've done that, double my money. Now I'm going to change the formula. Now, what for? So I hear people all the time, so they bought in DY and One Better, killing it. It went up, doubled and doubled. Then they bought a 2 better in DY, kept the 1 better. Now they got $1.5 million of property. Then they buy a house in an adjoining suburb. These guys, like these immigrants that have been here for 15 years, have got $4 million worth of property. And then I see them in the street, and I see them. They say, I just bought something in Queensland or Melbourne or Western Australia, and I'm going, what for? You've just doubled your money there, tripled your money there, made heaps of money out of that house. Why are you changing the formula? So, I think just be careful, kids. That's what I reckon. Be careful. And I mean that, and I appreciate, Luke, that you're selling a bucket load in Queensland and you love it, and you've got the formula down pat. But I do believe what I know.
Yeah, and if the biggest thing would be, especially if you're going to do it, have it someone locally, because we know, being local to Northern Beaches, being on one side of Pittwater Road compared to the other side of Pitt Road, has a big difference. And buying out of any area, that's like, I say the same for people in Northern Beaches, buying in Blacktown or Campbelltown, Parramatta, when there's a lot of speculation, you just don't know. And there are great buyers agents out there and family you can like out there, but I get that sometimes, now, if you're looking to buy a brand new 1 better DY, you're at $850. You may only have 40 grand cash. So let's face it, the money's better in property than the bank. And if you have 40 grand to spend, should you save for 3-4 years, 5 more years to get a 20% deposit? If you don't want to go down the mortgage insurance, or do you buy it elsewhere? Do you buy a storage unit? Like, there's many ways to skin the cat, both ways. So,
And I do have to admit, I know I'm saying Sydney. There's bad investments in Sydney.
oh yeah,
For
the
instance,
one you don't buy.
no, but there's places in
Yeah.
Sydney where there's been too much supply that I think haven't reflected good capital growth.
Yes.
I with my own money, I wouldn't buy in the Sydney CBD, too many units. I wouldn't buy in Mascot, too many units. I wouldn't buy in Parramatta, too many units. There's still, it doesn't mean you buy in Sydney, you're done. There's still, I think you got to buy in low supply suburbs, even Queensland. But again, we're talking about buying in Queensland due to the Olympics.
Yeah, and you're right there. There's good about everywhere, and that comes down to knowing where you're going, and you got a better chance of knowing where you live. Like, we're so fortunate. We're Northern Beaches, low supply, coastal, so many beaches, golf courses, everything here. So obviously we're probably one of the top performers in a long time. So we're heavily, more so Sydney, where I'm sure other areas haven't. But you can pick and choose. But it goes to the fundamentals: tourism, iconic structures, coastal, weather. Stick to that. Olympics, great for attraction. You may see those results. I wouldn't mind checking the 2000 data around Sydney Olympic Park. I just remember, even though it was a long time ago, a lot of vacancy, very bad vacancy. I know the Defence Force, I think, picked up a lot of that property for renting out. So it's not like it went to the public market. So how was that in the first 5 years? Maybe it's better to buy after. Let it build up. Everything's empty. Buy after.
I can feel a nice debate coming on with Luke Moroney on Morning Minutes for 15 minutes. On one side of the ring, Mark Novak. On the other side of the ring, Luke Moroney, and the referee in the middle, Michael Bergio.
Yeah, I can already hear Luke in my ear. That's why I've been very good. Don't worry, Luke.
All right, everyone, have a great day. Stay safe, Berg. Thank you, and
Thanks, Luke.
living the better down.
Cheers. Thanks. Bye.
There you go.